Hello, welcome to Auto Shenanigans. How the devil are you? Have you had a good week? My name is John and thank you very much for joining me for another exciting episode of Secrets of the Motorway. This week we're exploring the borderline pointless M23 motorway. If anything, it's just a motorway that connects the A23 sections together, I'd say, and if it wasn't for people flying out of Gatwick on their Benidorm holidays, I can't imagine it would be used much at all. The M23 opened in 1974 and saw completion in 1975. Well, I say completion, they managed to build 15.9 miles of it before somebody changed their mind. Imagine my surprise. The idea for a London to Brighton motorway came around as early as 1906 and was actually the first plan of its type. Nearly 60 years later, they managed to finally formulate a plan which involved the M23 starting at Streatham in South London and heading down to the other side of Crawley. The southern ends of the motorway were the easy bits to build, so they sort of got on with that, but it was at the northern end in London where they ran into all sorts of problems. To understand these problems, we need to talk a little bit about the London Ringways. The ambitious London Ringways project was an ambitious project to build ringways around London. In essence, a load of motorways circling the city. I'm not going to go into much detail on the London Ringways project in this video. If you'd like to learn more, then there's a really good video by some guy called Jay Foreman where you can learn everything you need to know. He's only a small channel, so I'm sure he'd appreciate the views. But yes, the London Ringways project. In terms of the M23, the idea was that it would terminate at Streatham in London where it would link up with Ringways 2. The whole plan was stupid, really. The level of destruction involved would have been massive, and that's before you even think about the costs. And predictably, it was all cancelled. But remember that southern section of the M23 that they'd already started building? Well, yeah, they built some of it and then just sort of stopped, really. And that leads us neatly onto the first interesting point of this video. Welcome to Junction 7 of the M23, where we find the motorway start. Wait, what? Hang on a minute, Junction 7, what? Indeed, they didn't bother building junctions 1 to 6, and they didn't bother renumbering the road either. Wastemen. It seems like they didn't even bother to finish this end of the motorway. It's almost like they just put their tools down and walked away. Perhaps you've noticed this strange bit of extra motorway that makes its way into the trees at the M23's start. If you look closer, you might also spot a bridge in the trees. This bridge will never see any motorway traffic, but these days you can drive underneath it if you use one of the slip roads here. Currently, that short, weird section of extra motorway seems to be used as a highway storage depot or something along those lines. So basically, following the Ringways project cancellation, this is where they stopped building the M23, and junctions 1 to 6 is never going to happen. Had it been built, the M23 would have come through here and on its way up to London at Streatham. But it wasn't built, so it doesn't. Our next stop sees us at Junction 8, which is also known as the Merstham Interchange. What's the pronunciation on that? I don't know. It's here that the M23 and the M25 meet in an arrangement that's actually quite a rare sight on our motorway network. Known as a 4-stack interchange, there are 4 levels of road with the M25 on the bottom, the M23 crossing over the top, and their linking slip roads sandwiched in between. This is one of only 3 junctions that offer this design across our entire motorway network. The question is do you know where the other 2 are? Leave a comment. Right next door to Junction 8 is Spinesmere, a collection of small lakes that started out as farmland before sand excavation works was carried out. When the quarries closed in, I think around 2006-ish, something like that, the land was restored and it's now a nature reserve. And what's this? It looks like some sort of abandoned building. I've no idea what it is or was, so if you've got any ideas, do let me know. But obviously I wasn't going to pass up the opportunity to investigate an abandoned building. Right, sorry about the dodgy audio, shaky footage, etc. I'm looking at this abandoned building in more detail, and you don't have doors like that on the highway maintenance depot or a storage place. I'm not sure what this is. I'm going to go in and find out. Fucking hell. I don't know what the fuck I found here, but it appears to be some sort of Cold War bunker, World War II based bunker. I don't know. It goes underground, there are several levels, there's a whole headquarters command centre in there, but we're going to have a little look around. I don't know if you can see me okay. We're going to have a look around briefly, because it's fucking scary. But I don't know what this is. This is not part of the script. This is all improvised. Improv. So I have no idea what we're going to find. I don't know if you can see this. Look, there's stairs going down here, everyone. I can't go in there because the floor is all collapsed. But I can go through here.
Well, this is where the intellectual hard labor takes place. Plenty of writing, plenty of thinking. This little kitchen has all the hallmarks of serious cookery. What's nice about the way this house is planned is the way all the rooms and spaces flow together so neatly. Now, the paintings on the walls are slightly sort of low-key. Who lives in a house like this? David, it's over to you.
I really wasn't planning on finding a bunker of sorts. Having now come home, I've researched it a little bit, and what I've accidentally stumbled across is the Mertham Anti-Aircraft Command Operations Room. It was built in 1951, so that makes it a Cold War era bunker, and used to be part of the Pendle Army camp that was there until the M23 came along and it was removed. I guess this was something they just forgot about. They stopped using it in 1960, but since then it's had a few owners. It's not really clear who owns it today. There's lots more information to be found on Subterranea Britannica. Thanks to those guys for the information. Without it, I'd have had no idea what it was. Right, back to the M23. We got sidetracked slightly there by wartime bunkers. Amazing, huh? A short distance up and the M23 crosses over a railway, Nutfield Brook and Coopers Hill Road on this rather lovely bridge. But you'll also find a secret junction here as well. With a single slip road on the northbound side and the same on the southbound side, it's designed to allow emergency services to turn around here and head back down the M23 towards Junction 9. If this wasn't in place, they'd have to drive all the way up to Hooley and pretty much the end of the M23, turn around and come all the way back, which of course doesn't make a lot of sense. Just before we get to Junction 9, have a look out to your left and you might spot the Smallfield Raceway. This raceway in a small field is dedicated to banger racing and I think is the epitome of grassroots racing. The track started in the 1980s, but by the 2010s it was really starting to show its age. I'm delighted to say, however, it wasn't sold off for housing and a new management team took over in 2016. Their mission was to restore the track back to its original standard, and I think they've done just that. Jobbed. Well done, guys. Like a lot of businesses, Smallfield Raceway have had to put their prices up recently, so an adult ticket's going to set you back about £12. What's the price of a Silverstone ticket these days, mate?
About 200 quid probably for a race day.
Exactly. This is £12, and I guarantee you'll see more crashes and overtakes in one day's worth of racing here than you will an entire season's worth of Formula One. So support your local tracks, it's very important, guys. Right next door to Smallfield Raceway is where we find the National Highways Weatherhill Depot. It's got its own dedicated junction on the southbound side of the M23. There is also access on and off the motorway on the northbound side, so the maintenance vehicles can get onto and off the motorway in whichever direction they need to. Have you ever noticed this sticky out bit of the M23 that heads up towards Gatwick? It looks like an extension of the motorway, and I suppose it is, but you've got to come off the main carriageway in order to use it. So you leave the M23 and then join the M23 for about a mile long stretch. I'm not sure why they gave this short section of road full motorway classification. It just ends at a roundabout, but whatever. We're up at Junction 10A, which is a little bit of an odd one. You can only join the motorway if you're heading north, or if you're already coming south, you can exit here as well. This junction was added to the M23 in 1997 and was built as part of the then newly built suburb Maidenbower. It's designed in this way deliberately because it means traffic doesn't build up on the local roads through Maidenbower, and the main roads in the area are also kept free of flowing, apparently. Do you like my chair? I found it in this field. Still at Junction 10A and just off the roundabout for the southbound slip road, I noticed the entrance to a Delta Force paintball site. My research suggests that it's been closed and has been for a little while, and the M23 runs right alongside it, so that's all the justification I need to go and have a look. So as I mentioned, the site was operated by Delta Force Paintball, and if you're not familiar, they're the same guys who have got the Sepcat Jaguar that we saw in our M42 episode. It's not exactly clear when the site closed, but I think it was probably around the time we had the lockdown restrictions. Unfortunately, having hiked a fair while to come and have a look at what was left, well, there's nothing, it's all gone. You can see it still on Google Maps, but obviously that's now out of date, so you don't need to waste your time and come up here like we did. There is nothing to see but, well, quite a nice forest, I suppose, but that's it. At Junction 11 is where we find Pease Pottage Services and the end of the M23. Not even 16 miles long and only 6 junctions, it hardly seems worth it. The big question is, why doesn't the M23 carry on south here all the way down to Brighton? Well, the plans were never drawn up and they had no intention of building the M23 all the way down to the coast, so sorry about that. Even today, it's unlikely that the M23 would head south because the majority of traffic leaves the motorway in and around the Gatwick area. Down here at Junction 11, it's actually fairly quiet by motorway standards, and the A23 handles it just fine all the way down to Brighton. Brighton. A few minutes up the road from Pease Pottage service station is Tilgate Park, where we've come to look at a video outro. That's all for this week, guys. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, there is of course a button specifically for that. And in my quest to reach 100,000 subscribers, if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the channel. That'd be wicked sweet awesome. Enjoy the rest of your week, whatever it is you get up to. My name's John. You've been watching Auto Shenanigans, and I'll see you guys next time for another exciting episode of Secrets of the Motorway. See you then. Take care. Bye-bye. Jump in the